Hi. So, yes, today, oh my goodness, I'm looking so old. Uh, Dear friends, this is about today. Let us see about project method as you are seeing on the screen. Um, Let us see. It was long days back. I prepared and I found, and I just want to discuss about what is the project method of teaching, as it is in your syllabus. First unit, the method of teaching is the project method. Uh, as we, project method is considered very before the paradigm shift of constructivism comes into our context. It was one of the best method of teaching, and it is not simply a method of teaching project. If ask me my personal opinion, see, I submitted this PowerPoint presentation long back when I was doing a practical program as an example. I was a assistant program coordinator at that time, and I prepared this one. So let us see how project method uh, is yeah. Uh, we will focus only in project method and in hardcore consideration. Project method is was also considered as a child-centric method of teaching, especially the teacher-centric method of teaching was especially this lecture, uh, giving lecture. That lecture method is one there in your syllabus. Hmm. Yeah. Then demonstration, project method, and in your syllabus one is the problem solving method. Another one is right. So if I see, let's go definition. Let us see what was the definition I prepared at that time. An educational method where students working individually or in small group analyze and develop a real life problem or tackle a present day theme within a present time limit, working independently and with the division of tasks clearly defined. Uh, uh, it is not mentioned that from where it has been taken, but obviously a reference might have been taken that time, but separate quotation have not been mentioned here. So from this definition, we can at least try to interpret that, um, especially for you in higher education, project method is uh, a routine type of the program, method of teaching. So when you go to master degree, the projects are there, MPhil and PhD itself is a project, a larger format. So small project and can be done as a method of teaching. And few years back, I show in class 9 textbook CBSE NCERT textbook that in the activity column there was even in class 9 there was this project method was given in as an assignment. And so let us see, the project is one of the standard teaching method. Yeah, it is generally considered a means by which students can develop independence and responsibility, practice social and democratic modes of behavior. The method is a genuine product of American progressive education movement. Whenever constructivist concept, inquiry-based learning, problem-solving, design, and discussed in American education, the project is considered to be one of the best, most appropriate methods of teaching. See again here that constructivism comes up. So when students successfully complete a project, they demonstrate the information learned and the ability to complete of proof of skills. The criterion reference essentials help to eliminate competition and may improve cooperation. I'll give you example little later on. Let us first see about this PPT only. Yeah, the history of project method of choice since the dawn of civilization. And wow, it's quite long back. See, the beginning of project work at architectural schools in Europe started in 590 AD to 1765, and 65 to 1880. The project was as a regular teaching method, and its transplantation to America. Then in 1880, from 1818 to it is 1915, work on projects in manual training in general public schools. It seems quite chronological. Uh, it has been prepared in that way. In 1915, from 1915 to 1965, redefined that is the project method in its transplantation from America back to Europe. Okay, and from 1965 till today, rediscovery of the project idea and a third wave of its international dissemination. It's this today, and I still remember when I prepared this particular PPT submitted to IGNOU New Delhi, and I think this was in the year 2011, yeah, in 2012, I think I submitted this one. Exactly don't remember, but you can see the chronological order here. It's well constructed as a, for you can cite all these things, and when you write in essay type questions of your university examination. And how does project method fit into modern education? Learning principle and project method. Yeah, let us just see. We learn best when we are ready to learn. Yeah, this is one of the behaviorist principle. Readiness. Without readiness and interest in learning theory, if you go back, you will find that without readiness, learning never happened. As if that is taken as a first principle of learning, what has been considered in project method must know to do. For a reason for uh, condition for readiness to learn is something like must know and to do. Okay, to do a task, have to yeah, I must know like that, we must know like that, we must do like that. That is another kind of readiness. And learning is enhanced with use. uh, this is also can be referred to some like I think Thorndike's principle given by the behaviorist principle. So practice and application are requirements. You see, it is very in short form. Practice make a man perfect is one of the saying. But if you went back to learning theory, that's how this is learning principles. So if you went back to learning theory, and you'll find in Thorndike's experiment and his finding and implication in education system was like this. So practice is very important, and in project method, uh, when children, when the students or children, especially learners, when the learners uh, learners are asked to learn through project method. If you have chosen project method as a method of teaching, then lots of practice and applications of that will be there. And the third principle is we learn best when new knowledge is useful and beneficial. This is social impact value. It comes from social science, and it's a social science, and then from the angle of psychology, we can say that this is also relevant to the Maslow's need theory. Okay, I'm again starting the session because I am trying a new software, and right now I'm using a free one, and that's why uh, you know um, it runs for 10 minutes, and if I pay, then it will continue. Let's enjoy. So the third principle is we learn best and we knew the knowledge is useful and beneficial. This I just mentioned about the need theory kind and social other social factor theory kind and why it's not yeah. So here a direct project selected is based on immediate need. You see, I just mentioned that it's is more or on need basis. So successful learning is stimulated for learning. It is like, whenever anything we do, if we complete the task successfully, obviously that trigger for a more another more tasks. So that's how you know uh, this stimulation for more learning happens. This is a beautiful principle, and according to that, this one the project method, the complexity of the projects increases. This is how it's just like a program learning. You might be remembering the theory of Skinner's program learning theory. So whenever you cross one level, another level increases, and you are ready for that. That's mostly happen in the game also, like video game. Many other games are there, like follow this is such kind of situations. If a person only knows how and not why, they will seldom advance above skill level. Uh, I'm not going into that. This one characteristic of a craftsman, skilled craftsman. There must be something. Choose appropriate material. Okay, then plan the procedures, what to do. Very uh, you know. Seriously, in common sense we can say like that. Lay out work, select methods, select best tools and equipment, displays required level of skills to use tools and materials, can analyze and solve problems, are able to adapt to change, follow written and oral directions. Yeah, are all components of project method. Okay, that's why a characteristics of a skilled craftsman, uh, it's uh, what to say. It's just directing something we too understand this. If we go again to all these 9 points mentioned here, these are actually in a little simplistic version of sequence of the project. Doing a project, whenever we do a project, whenever we decide to do a project, we have to uh, follow all these plans carefully. uh, this is how this is the reason behind how this project method has been identified as one of the best method of teaching, and many a times in examination and multiple choice questions also, this particular method of teaching, like which the from the following four options, which one is the best teaching methods, like that it comes in examination. I showed that long back. And other 5 characteristics of the good projects. Number one, identifiable educational objectives, clearly defined, appropriate in scope and difficulty for the abilities of the student, appropriate in scope and difficulty for the abilities of the students. It reflects uh, the psychology of individual difference has been taken here to pick up this one of the good characteristics of the project. And It takes care of individual differences and individual ability. That's how this third point comes up. Related to students' needs. Uh, yes, these are the things when we come to the uh, you know example. When I come to the example, you will be completely clear about this. It's challenging. The project is always challenging because whenever we take a problem to do as a project, from the beginning itself, it reflects it challenging. That's why it also trigger the stimulation to complete the task. Once it is completed, and the vigor of doing more project comes up. This is how these five characteristics. Project evaluation. If the students complete the project as part of the curriculum, they must be evaluated. This is a simple one. Many teachers do not use the project method because they don't want to spend the time that it takes to select, supervise, construction, and evaluate. Yeah, this is one of the, you can say, a limitation of the project method. Why project method is being one of the best method of teaching, though why people are not adopting in a frequent manner, because it takes lots of time. It can be one of the limitation, so-called, like demerits, we used to say. So evaluation should be a criterion reference. What is a criterion reference and non-criterion reference evaluation? We will discuss in the assessment part, but you can start looking at that. Reduce subjectivity. This is the indicator that you have to know about the criterion reference evaluation. And evaluations are more consistent, removes personality conflicts, can develop a common evaluation for different types of scales. Uh, uh, yes, something projects of the project. Actually, these four sub-classification of evaluation of criterion reference given here are the characteristic. One of the characteristics of constructing a good test. This is one of the topic in your syllabus in the second unit. And next is criterion reference test evaluation. Okay, PACE is given. Actually, I was thinking to go move on more on the project method, so it comes up in between. This is the advantage of the project method, because it makes learning bias free. That's how because of the evaluation always contribute in the better growth of the children while learning. So an assessment where an individual performance is compared to a specific learning objective or performance standard, and not the performance of the other students. It is what an assessment where an individual performance is compared to the specific learning objective. Wow, yeah, I am repeating it. Or performance standard, not to the performance of other students. When we do a project and you evaluate, uh, it doesn't create a competition kind of things, comparison kind of things with others. Instead of that, and their focus is on the achieving the objective, that is completion of the tasks or performance, like that. Uh, Criterion reference assessment tell us how well students are performing on specific goals or standards, rather than just telling how their performance compares to a norm group of students nationally or locally. What is this? Criterion reference assessment tell us how well students are performing on specific goals. This is similar to the first line, and or the standards, rather than just telling how their performance compares to a norm group of students. Okay, it is almost same with the first point. I don't think this is very important here. In criterion reference assessment, it is possible that uh, none or all of the examinees will reach a particular goal or performance standard. Okay. using criterion reference evaluation with project method. I think let us move ahead. uh, I'm sending you this PowerPoint presentation with little correction in the Google Class platform. But I wanted to discuss here in this uh, PowerPoint presentation informal. Okay. Uh, okay. Merits of the project method. This one we can uh, see based on the law of learning, the law of readiness, the law of exercise, and the law of effect. These are all from a behavioristic view of learning theory, which I mentioned about this law of exercise that was a practice. Readiness is common to all conditioning, classical conditioning theory and all. The law of practice and exercise based on I just mentioned that it came from Thorndike's learning experiment, and many others are there related with life. Obviously, project methods always whenever we choose a project, because we cannot be so theoretical to do that. Yeah, in higher education, there are theoretical projects are there, but not at the school level at least. Especially in philosophical study, there are and the theological studies, there are theories as a project, but not I mean except these two, others are on practical base correlation with all the subjects. Yes, this is one, I mean, project method of teaching you can adopt in every subject, not only in life science, but for life science it works wonderful. I mean, in all the topic of life science, particularly wherever, because life science is known for a factual study, that's why asking the students to do a project of like observation and all, and prediction, observation, prediction methods are there, where this is very relevant, and training for democratic way of life. Yeah, here peer group, even individual students can take up the project, or peer group can take up the project, or cliques or cluster group can take up the project. That's how a democratic environment is there in project method. Training in citizenship. uh, this is a little okay, but just you can note down it, but it needs a lot of talking, discussion about this, how this training in citizenship is actually, it comes from the responsibility by in doing this project method. uh, it's just not the mugging of some definition and all. If you do a project, you have to come across all the performances, you solve the problems, come across the experiences and the experiments. That's how responsibilities are there to complete the project. Upholding dignity of labor. Yeah, when you take the responsibility is a project, so obviously a moral and the value context has come up. uh, Stressing problem solving. uh, yes, a separate problem solving method is there in your syllabus, but here project methods, you have to find out. I can give you one task, how the problem solving method and project methods differ from each other. But in problem solving method, this project method, problem solving methods are always inside. Okay, a source of happiness for the backward. uh, Again, a social context has come up. I'm not ignoring this part, because for this particular, like citizenship, dignity of labor, and source of happiness for the backward, uh, we need a separate discussion. Providing freedom, this is also a social context. Already a democratic environment is mentioned. solving the problem of indiscipline. This word indiscipline actually it's all one. Nowadays we don't use this indiscipline word. So when I will amend all the points presentation here and some I mean you know uh, submit this PPT in the Google class. Uh, but here it's very interesting here. It seems like its merits of the project methods uh, is because of more of understanding of learners right, learners freedom, and learners interest, integrity. So it is all almost a learner centric, completely almost a learner centric. Here a supervisor will become only a facilitator, so that's a beautiful one. Demerits of the project method: neglecting intellectual work, that is um, uh, it is not exactly at all. Yeah, some part is there whenever we do see whenever we start performing some tasks, practical work. There sometimes uh, you can delimit situations where you can complete the tasks by reducing the amount of referential work. But like in research study during doctoral study, we have to go through lots of intellectual work. So by, I mean, mm, if we in higher level of project, if we neglect other intellectual work, reference of other intellectual work, then particularly in quantitative studies, that will create definitely a problem. Haphazard and unconnected teaching, it is because whenever freedom comes up, democracy comes up, that is they are automatically uh, difficulties in terms. See, these are two sides of the coin, like freedom and discipline. So like that, this haphazard, the word haphazard here, it is used because uh, um, increasing the amount of freedom to the learner, obviously that will the difficulties of coordinating by a facilitator uh, will increase. So that's why it is unconnected with teaching. And sometimes you are not careful after you assign a project to all the students. I think we in our institutions we have come across such situations. We make groups and we give you some projects, and in the group, some are really taking care of the project, some are not, and some groups are really taking care of the project, and some groups are not. So it that creates uh, problem difficulties, that creates difficulties in coordinating among the facilitator or core group teachers. Upsetting of the timetable, uh, obviously this is it requires freedom at the timetable also. When if you need to complete a project, you have to give time which is not supposed to be bound by the timetable, so it disturbs timetable. So a well planned project can be assigned where sometimes we give a summer training program. We send you a summer training program, and learning from summer training program can be an example of well identified projects. Okay, which is also time regarding this timetable is also maintained. Neglect of the drill work. Drill work is something like we give lectures and we ask questions and you respond. So just to more on 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Uh, neglect difficulty in getting suitable textbooks, because most whenever we give assign project, uh, the nature of the projects are almost every time the the identification of the problem and the identified problem are every time a new kind. So direct relevance with the textbooks are very less. That is the meaning here. Artificial correlation, yes, there are chances of the manipulation, uh, can be done. That's how artificial correlations, yes, seriously in quantitative form evaluations involved in the assessment of project work. Without the ethics of, own self-conscious ethics, anybody can manipulate the opportunity. It's not opportunity. The chances of doors for manipulation increases. Unsuitable for the circus and shy, yeah, for like introverts. Too much reliance on young children's. Uh, this one is because here you have to take full responsibility. Like, when we during uh, we only realize uh, when when we were doing PhD work. Uh, that time, our supervisor used to say that, uh, you do this and come with this. You do this, come with this. You do this. Come. So lots of things are there. That's how, the PhD works are works remain mysterious to many people. Once you started, you do not know when to finish, like that. Similarly, if such kind of pressure, if assigned to the children's, it will be very, very, very much for them. So whenever you have to take care of the type of project and the nature of project, and requirement of time, requirement of the resources, and the uh, gravity of the complexity of the project have to be, seriously taken care of by the facilitator. Otherwise, children will fall prey to stress condition. Lack of competent teachers. This is see uh, without any citing and a proof, but yes, supervisory tasks in a project is really the facilitator uh, must have himself or herself must have a very strong understanding of doing a project, and completing a project and reporting a project and assigning a project, evaluating a project. So you can say that it is not uh, that you can just you can't just go like that. You have to be very uh, you know serious about this. Unsuitable for transfers. uh, this means towards two things. Uh, when we give one project to one children, that once it is started, you cannot transfer the project to another students. So that this is the context of these transfers. And so if we prepare a lesson plan on the project method, uh, see, providing a situation, choosing and the purposing, planning, executing the plan, judging, recording, and evaluation. Uh, these are very important. The evaluation here is not the evaluation of the child. This is the evaluation of the objectives which has been uh, framed to uh, uh, achieve to complete the project. So this evaluation, just remember, not the evaluation of the
learner. This evaluation is the evaluation of the objective, whether you have achieved the objective or not. Okay, so here uh, in the next session we will discuss about mm, I think during our video conference class I already mentioned about that you'll never find any book writing giving a sample of project lesson plan of on the method of teaching of project method or problem solving method. Here we will discuss in the next class. Okay, and meanwhile let us go to a particular portion that is I just wanted to show you uh, one here one the PDF is here. uh, it talks about the project methods uh, theoretical aspect where you have to study this thing and you have to write it in the examination. See, this is the one of the very authentic source from the source. Then how a project method is defined or from where it comes. See, some introduction is that the project method is outcome of the pragmatic educational philosophy of Dewey. John Dewey, you know, he is known as the philosopher who brought the pragmatism and in the Western countries, and the well-known American philosopher come educationist. It was developed and perfected by Dr. William Head Kilpatrick of the University of Columbia. Just remember this person's name. Definition, uh, though it was credited to Kilpatrick, uh, these let us see just one definition given by Ballard. A project is a bit of real life that has been imported into the school. Wow, this is beautiful and very simple. Okay, you can go through this definition. So meanwhile, let us again let us just move to some of the the following points have been stressed in the above mentioned definitions of the project. It is something like, if uh, see all these educationists when they give a definition, they have a very strong background of their experience towards the study of the particular in the relevant field. So among all these definitions, we have to derive some principles and the theory. So that's how it is given like this here. A project is a problematic act. A project is a purposeful activity. A project is a wholehearted activity. A project is an activity in natural setting. A project is an activity in a social setting. A project is a bit of real life introduced in schools. A project is problem solving or of a practical nature. A project is a positive and concrete achievement. A project is an activity through which solutions of various problems are found out. That's so beautiful. Okay, you just, I mean, please go through these material I'm going to provide you in Google Class. Uh, in so Out of these principles are derived main principles of the project method: the principle of purpose, the principle of activity, the principle of experience, the principle of social change. In earlier PowerPoint presentation we saw the principles of learning and the context of how that is relevant with the project method. Now we are going directly to the principles of uh, project method. Okay, so here this the principle of purpose, the numberings are somehow repeated. This part we can change on. This is so two. No, some problem when at the time of download. So principle of purpose, principle of activity, principle of the principle of reality, the principle of freedom, the principle of utility. Uh, this was already mentioned in the PowerPoint presentation in the that point, merits and demerits, limitations. The principle of utility has been you know mm, that uh, uh, it's very important, that is connecting with the life or real life situations. That's how in constructivism also we give very much important uh, with the connectivity of real life situations, so that every individual learner can construct their own experience, own learning, that own knowledge. And so actually those things are already rooted into certain previous studies like this, principles like this. So different types of projects given by Kilpatrick. Uh, Actually, we do pronounce it Kilpatrick. Uh, this is producer type, consumer type, problem type, and drill type. So the producer type, in which the emphasis is directed towards the actual construction of material object or article. Here you give an uh, project to construct something, physically construct something, uh, and just like model a model. You ask the children to come up with a model by giving a topic that is a problem, like uh, uh, in the science exhibition we showed that like if the topic is about the water conservation, children's comes up with the model of how to conserve water, rainwater harvesting type of things. These are the things how this producer type of project method if you use in this category. And in consumer type, where the objective is to obtain either direct or various experiences such as reading and learning from stories, listening to a musical, a delectation, etc. It is a theoretical one, little bit theoretical one, but if you um if you uh, integrate this with performing arts, this will be very good one. uh, this particular consumer type will be very much suitable with the literature study and humanities, branches of humanities subjects. This consumer type will be quite suitable. So problem type, the problem type in which the chief purpose is to solve a problem involving the intellectual process. Here are reasonings or deductive reasonings type of, you can give how a communicable diseases, uh, an example. See, you can form the group in the you can form a groups in the class or individuals. You can give as a project a topic like uh, uh, come up with why to check uh, the communicable diseases uh, in the particular community, small community, part of the community, small part, or in a small part of the township. You can ask the children to come up with to collect the data, what is the status of communicable uh, diseases where they live in a small part of townships. If it is a if you assign to depend on the standard of the class, if you are assigning this task to class class intermediate students, that can be little more complex. But if you are giving this type of project to 13 or 14 years of age, you can um, understand the age group, and you can give an example project like that where obviously this age group of children or learners will take that seriously and with more challengingly. But as a facilitator, you have to give a very suitable project. Then drills, drill style, the drill type where the objective is to attain a certain degree of skill in a reaction as learning a vocabulary. Here again, the language and literature, language is given as an example, but even when we do a uh, like if you give a project where some particular tools have to be used in science, say for example using a microscope. So using a microscope is not the project, but when you give a project where microscope has to be used, and using a microscope needs certain skills. Uh, so to achieve that particular objectives of the project, the learner are going to use a microscope, and that's how they will become the plan is like that. They are to complete that particular object, they are going to depend many a times to the experimentation and observation with the help of microscope. That's the way the learner will become skillful in terms of observation and drawing out the observation and the use of that particular tools. So that's how this one is explained. So various steps in a project already we have seen in the PowerPoint presentation, but the different types of language we can develop. So this one is here in let's see here in the PowerPoint presentation we show here evaluation. So evaluation part here. So evaluation, the finding will come in judging, and after that we have to report. So making a report is also an essential part of the project to show that yes, uh, communication skills here will come up, so that what project you have done, what objective you have chosen, and after going through all the process of a project, and finally you have to communicate what you have come across and what are your findings, learnings during after the completion of this project like that. So essentiality of a good projects, yeah, these are all mentioned there. uh, we have discussed these things: role of the teachers, hints, problem solving, meaning and definitions. Again, some of the materials steps in problem solving. These things you need to really understand before developing a lesson plan, or before you create a learning environment. You need to understand what are the steps in problem solving, if you choose problem solving as a method of teaching or method of facilitating the class. In continuation with this, the teacher's role in problem solving, that is the role of facilitator. And again, entire procedure of problem solving can be divided into two parts, that is inductive part and deductive part. That is what I mentioned once in earlier discussion, that uh, deductive reasoning very useful in both problem solving method and project methods. Here we can use both inductive and deductive, but after going through all these things, we will come up with the contextualization part, uh, particularly in life science, in pedagogy of life science, how uh, how this uh, So, uh, see, in today's very informal kind of PowerPoint presentation, you have seen I try to integrate one of the ICT, by using this PowerPoint presentation with webcam of mobile, and I try to integrate my presentation of the uh, on project method as a teaching method. But please just I'm going to upload these two documents, and I think already I have given uh, very thorough documents in Google Class platform, but here I request you to go through these few basic things because uh, understanding a project method will make you uh, very much mature in your own personality development. So that means your uh, uh, the ability to identify a problem always help in ability to identify the develop the planning execution and conclude. That's how uh, the the peoples who have a very strong ability in problem solving a project method, uh, they are always correlate with the managerial skills and leadership skills in management institutions. But here we will focus on how the project method as a teaching method will be very useful, and how we can make a classroom uh, a beautiful one with the help of a project method of teaching. So we will just go through all these things. That's why I just went informally, more kind here in this presentation. But when we have a video conference class, we will have a thorough discussion. Okay, and I'll come up with more presentation with better resources in future. So for today, I'm going to stop here. Okay.